Lord, we again thank you for the ability to be here today, representing the people of this county. Lord, we're getting ready to make some big decisions today. These are things we've discussed in the past, and we thank you for your past wisdom to bring us to this point. If there's anything we might have missed, be sure and let us have the understanding of that. Otherwise, we just ask your blessings on what we're about to do. In Jesus' name.
Good morning, Chris. How are you this?
Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. Any citizen desiring to be heard? Item 5, consideration possible action on real estate interlocal agreement with the State of Oklahoma Office of Management and Enterprise Services for the purchase of the building located at 1414 South Division, Guthrie, Oklahoma. For a price of $2,100,000.
If I could, let's kind of go back in the past and kind of explain how we got to this point. Back in the day, we hired,
Timberlake and Architects and
well, the guy before that,
Terry Hickson
to do a scope of work on the six-story building, because our original plan was to utilize what we had. So he went through and did a scope of work, then we started getting quotes on that. And
Quotes to bring it down or quotes to use it?
To use it.
Okay.
New windows, new elevator shaft, and he went through. Then we hired a structural engineer to come in and see if these walls were load bearing and what have you. Then we hired Timberlake, I'll just hit the high points, to do a cost estimate. Is it worth doing that or tearing it down and building a new one here? So they said, well, it'd be cheaper to tear that down and build a new office building right here. But we're still at $6 million. So we stumbled across the DHS building. We could buy it for 2.2. And so long story short, they say we would save money by buying that and leaving this old building to tear it down or whatever. Then we have money to revamp the courthouse for courtrooms.
If I might, wasn't it 2.3 million? They were originally
it was 2.3, right. So the judges come to us, is what even got all this started, was they got to have more space. They're so far behind. So the taxpayers' money has been better spent by buying this building and revamping the courthouse, and we don't have to go out for a bond to ask the people to pay for this project because we got the ARPA money. So that's just kind of the highlights. Troy, you want to add to that?
I just point out that the DHS building will end up housing the county clerk, the treasurer, the assessor, and the commissioner's office with meeting room. So it's going to be renovated to do that. That will leave the courthouse for all court services. And the plan over there is to add another large courtroom, a medium courtroom, and then have 2 jury rooms so that they would be able to hold 2 jury trials at the same time. So that's ultimately.
And for the public consumption, the current jury room that we have is not handicap accessible.
It is not. And we actually had a juror fall on the stairs last year, which.
And we escaped the lawsuit on that.
Yeah, she wasn't injured, but because of where it is located, it is not accessible.
So Timberlake come back and they just have this building over an empty shell. We was going to have about $6 million just to have an empty shell. We haven't done anything on the inside, and we haven't done anything to improve the courthouse. If we go this route, we're going to have office buildings down there, and we're going to get the courthouse renovated. So.
This allows us to create enough space for future growth of the county, because we're doing nothing but growing. And it also allows us to meet the immediate needs plus future needs without asking the taxpayers for additional money. without doing it this way, we would have no choice but to go to the citizens and ask for additional money because we have to do something.
If I'm not mistaken, the current court clerk has offices on 2 different floors, is
Yes,
that
she
correct?
does.
And through this remodel, she'll be able to combine.
I believe that's the goal. The plans have not been definitive on the revamp of the courthouse. They're just have basically went through just to look at space and that. The plans for the DHS reno are pretty much, I think after this week, we've got them hammered down pretty good. I will point out, we have 3 items on the agenda. They're all relative to this project, but what I will point out now is DHS/child support, I think mostly, but DHS is going to remain in that building until March of next year. They're gonna keep a little bit and the reno will begin on the other side, and then they'll swap when they can. So we are hoping to be in that building in a year.
Well, I noticed on these documents, the close is March 29th. So I take it, we could start whatever we're gonna do the next day.
Yeah, and just to clarify, the only reason that we're having to do a closing in that manner with the government to government is we did have that building inspected and the roofing come back, the roof needs to be fixed. So 45,000, I think, of this money we're paying is gonna be held in escrow. That's what the state is putting towards the roof repair.
We're splitting the cost with them.
And so because of that, we have to do the title and escrow work because that money's being held for the roof.
I might also add that through your negotiations, we were able to get all the furniture in there. And there are some fantastic tables and chairs and things like that. We should have all the furniture we need and have some left over that maybe we can auction off and donate all that to District 2 for roads.
And there's gonna be a state agency that's gonna be in part of that building for 6 months at least after this.
They actually,
I was just trying to beat him to
the
the punch.
lease with them is till March of next year.
Okay,
Now, they may, and that allows them time to, they're trying to locate suitable office space to move to, but they do get a lease for a year essentially on that.
We
Which,
have one for rent.
so that, and then the other part of this is, that is actually school land that is held by the commissioners of the land trust.
Which is the next item here.
Right, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
kind of cover since I'm on a roll here. So we're buying the building and then we're assuming the lease with the state, which is a 55-year lease with the state for the property. It does set on 3 acres. And then I think our goal that we've discussed is once we get all this, the next step will be approach the commissioners of the land office about actually purchasing
Right.
out the property. So,
So I just kind of wanted to get the highlights. The reason this even started is because the judges actually come to the board back in the day saying, hey, we got to have more courtrooms. So that's really what even got all this started. Then we got the ARPA money and it was just the perfect storm for this renovation.
Well, being practical, the current courthouse can have 1 trial at a time. It may be able to have hearings in that little bitty, but it's not having a trial in there.
No. This will really open the door for them to speed the cases up. I mean, we got people been waiting for trial for a long time.
Also, I think it's important to understand that our courthouse was the first capital of the state of Oklahoma, arguably one of the most historic buildings in the state, and I would never want to abandon that building, build a new courthouse somewhere and let that one deteriorate. So it's absolutely vital that we do what we're doing to preserve one of the most important historical buildings here.
Now, since you've been the one that's been in this for the longest, even though I know it says chairman and all that, do you want to be the one that goes down to the closing and finish it out?
actually, one of these documents is set up for Monty to sign. And the only reason it was left that way is back when he was actually authorized by the board
Right.
to do this stuff,
Right.
so.
I don't care.
I don't mind doing it.
Rather than change up the paperwork.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I just want to reiterate that I feel sure that we've looked at every avenue in making decisions in the best interest and the most cost-efficient manner that we can do.
And this contract, after we've done all of our deals, I mean, it's been illegal, legals approved it, and everything looks good, so.
You know, for the public, I've heard some grumblings, not much, but a little bit about, well, why didn't they get any federal funds, ARPA funds? And why don't they put them on roads? And this is the reason, is it didn't go on roads, is we're in a
Right.
horrible.
But to be fair, we did put $1.5 million on roads.
Right.
But this is the only way we can ever do this project without going for a bond. And I don't want to pay a bond myself, so
Yeah.
I sure hate to ask the people to pay it.
And just since you brought that up, Mark, we did put $1.5 million on roads out of the ARPA. The sheriff's office received a chunk to replace some very deteriorated vehicles and a part that was set aside for a new roof on the jail, which I have information on that. The health department has some money set aside for a building addition that they need out of the ARPA funds. So it was used, again, trying to take care of immediate needs as best that we could.
Well, if we keep on the same road that we're currently on, as in keep the building just like it is, not expand, not buy this other building, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when the county gets sued for somebody getting hurt trying to get to the jury room, and that settlement will go on property tax.
So, I visit with the health department and they're looking at another building, so if that happens, they won't need that 250.
Well, we can address that. I will tell you that the jail roof has become a much bigger issue than what was first anticipated, and I've learned a lot about the laws on that type of building and what we're going to be required to do. I'm actually being forced, I have to hire a consultant to actually draw up the plans for that roof, and the cost is going to come in much higher than what we thought. So,
Is he gonna determine where the escape hatch is for the inmates to go out in the sun?
you know, we eliminated that when we built the new jail.
Okay.
It's the old jail that had walkouts.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so I mean, we still have decisions and some things that are coming out as, you know, as we move forward.
Well, with all that being said, I'll move to approve this contract.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
There's 2 copies of each document. This is the purchase contract.
And you would like these to remain in order?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay.
Everything just spend that kind of money at one setting?
First time this week.
Yeah.
You just spent 2.1 million.
Yeah, we're gonna spend more than that before it's all over
I know.
with.
Item 6, consideration possible action on assignment of Oklahoma school land long-term commercial lease to assume the lease currently held by the Oklahoma Department of Human Service for real property located at 1414 South Division, Guthrie.
I move we
That's
approve
the
this.
I'll second Charlie's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Monty, this is the only one that they had where you only signed.
Okay.
This one here.
Both, yeah, they're the
Okay.
same. Item 7, consideration possible action on real estate interlocal agreement with Oklahoma Department of Human Service to lease 2,836 square feet of the building located at 1414 South Division, Guthrie, Oklahoma, until a period of time not to exceed March 1st of 2025.
I'll move with approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 8, discussion of repairs, I better bring my glasses down, and/or demolition to the 6-story building. I had this put on, we had a tile fall off the other day. It's over in the assessor's office. No one was hurt, of course, but they found it on the ground. I don't know the answer. I would hate to put money into securing the tiles when we know we're gonna probably tear it down. And I don't know that we can move up the demolition on it. It may have to sit here a while before we get to do that.
Well, there's no way we can demo it until this building's empty. I mean, we can't have people working over there while they're tearing that down. So it's gonna be a year before we do anything.
The demolition of that building, if I recall what they have figured out, is this hallway to this building has to go, the way it's connected. And then don't forget it's connected to chapels, so that all has to be
Negotiate it
factored
out.
in and fixed to bring it down, so.
I
that-
believe the estimate was, what, 385 to,
No, I thought it was closer to 500.
well, we thought it would run about 8, and it came in, from Timberlake, when they were talking about, it came in, I was thinking below 400,000.
And that would be great.
Yeah,
But I think that the demolition is way far off
Yeah.
with the commitments we just signed.
sure. Yeah.
We probably should begin conference, negotiation, whatever you call it.
The chapels.
Yeah, to make sure whatever we do, they're happy with and it's acceptable to them.
Has anyone been up to the roof? I mean, was it just an individual case of a loose tile?
Well, I haven't went up there, but on those tile roofs, there's several ways you can to install them. And some of them are just loosely laying. They nail the bottom one and then they,
Well, I guess the thing to make clear too, we invested in all the structural engineering and everything on that building. It's solid. The building itself isn't going anywhere. Verizon did do a bunch of work up there this past year, so I wonder if they knocked a few things loose.
you never know.
It may be worth just having someone take a look.
It may have been that earthquake the other day that vibrated just enough to make move.
I'm not concerned the building is coming down, I guess is.
You know, if we walked around and Paul found one every day, maybe.
That'd be more
Yeah,
concerned.
but
I just don't see how we can speed it up, you know, until we get them out of that office. I mean, because number one, they wouldn't have the restroom. Then they ain't gonna tear it down with people sitting in that office. The liabilities.
So
I don't think we could really speed it up.
what you meant by the repairs is not to repair the whole building to use it, but just repair this one item there.
yeah. If we decided we should, and I think
think
it's
it
a waste
gets
of
worse, we'll
money.
have to look at it.
But, yeah, I think it's a waste of money. And also, if we do any demo, we're gonna have to give the cellular companies notice. They're gonna have to find something else to do.
Right,
We need two
Yeah. companies
that have any.
Yeah. I would think we might ought to think about doing that right away.
I
And-
hate to lose that rent money, but
Well, and how much is it, do we know?
About
But-
1,200.
That's more than that.
A month?
We, between the two added together, I think we're getting 1,500 a month.
Okay, well, that's, yep,
yeah. Started off, I think, $650 with one tower.
yeah. So we could, what would be an appropriate time to give them notice, 6 months before we intend to tear it down?
I need to look at the contracts on
Okay,
that.
okay.
I think the one is coming close to renewing. Because if I remember right, way back when we did them, they were on a, like a 25-year contract at 5-year renewals type situation. I need to pull them and look at it.
The problem is, if something happens and we can't demolish that building, we're crazy to kick out a revenue stream. It's not a lot, but it's better than a poking knife.
Well, I wouldn't think there'd be any reason we couldn't demolish it. Can you think more?
Financially.
Okay.
About 500,000 reasons why.
We could.
That would be,
Be the only thing I could think
And then also, if the courthouse uses this for their personnel staff during their transition, that would be even longer time period.
Which is, from the discussions that have been had, we will have to use this to house court staff while they're working the courthouse. So I would think that you're probably 2.5 years from being able to demolish.
Yeah.
that doesn't mean here in a few months, maybe a year, we can't put it in motion where it's happening.
True.
Well, I think by then we'll have a better idea on a timeline with the courthouse, because, you know, we have such a, we have no details on the courthouse renovations and timeframes and things like that.
I just didn't want to ignore the tiles falling off. That's, but I don't think there's much we could do about it right now.
Super glue or tape or something like that to go up there.
They do that, but
Yeah.
still, it costs money to do it.
Yeah. Well, you being a roofer, I thought you'd do it.
You know, I've never done a tile roof.
Okay.
I've never done a thatch roof either.
Okay.
But I've been around a little tile. I've done the tile underlayment, a lot of those. All right, so no action on item 8. Item 9, comments, announcements, questions by the Board of Commissioners or other county officers or department heads. Yes, ma'am.
Mark, I had to call the other day on some kids who scaled over this cage and got in, so that may be some of what was going on there.
Maybe. We don't need kids in there.
That's true.
Steve?
I got nothing.
Hey, I do. I got some good news today. The 2019 flood, old Stephen broke all this down for us. District 1's gonna get $63,110.77. District 2's gonna forward their $24,138.97 to District 3.
So that 3 can forward the entire total in to District 2.
District 3's getting $28,071.88. Fairgrounds, $6,957. So, Stephen, thanks for doing that for us.
Yes, sir.
That's all I got. Appreciate y'all working with me on the contract. Glad that's hopefully gonna be behind
Well,
us.
thank you for doing all the work.
I'm excited to get it.
Was it
behind
Stephen
us.
that did this, or was this Monty?
Steve?
Okay, because if it was Monty, I know why he got the most, you know,
But he didn't. District 1 did.
so. Oh, that is District 1, isn't it?
But I'll be glad to trade.
There's no telling what kind of threat he was under at that
And
time.
just to clarify, we haven't actually received that money
Right,
yet. It's
right.
coming, but it's not here yet.
When that money comes, it'll come before the board before it's put into the accounts.
Yeah, it'll be on our cash funds at the first of the month. It's going to depend on when we receive it as to when that happens. If we get it before the end of February, you'll receive it in your accounts in March. If it's received in March, you'll get it in April.
So are there limitations on how we can use this?
No, it's reimbursed. It's reimbursement money, so.
Okay.
That's how speedy our state and federal government is. This is from 2019 floods.
And I would point out, this is not federal FEMA, this is state dollars.
Right. The federal's already been,
Can I say one more thing about that?
No, you're getting heavy.
So there's the rumor going around is that any more disasters moving forward, the state is not going to pay the 12.5%. So this is probably the last of it. Anything on any further disasters will just be FEMA money.
and did that apply to the fires that we had last March?
No, that's all FEMA, the
Yeah,
fire
this-
money.
This, in
Yeah,
other words.
this is the
yeah.
12.5% that
Yeah.
fee. So we were like one of the last agencies to get the 12.5%. If this was a week later, we probably would have never got it.
Wow.
So,
Well, I appreciate your work on that, Stephen.
yeah, David Ball gets credit too, because a lot of that happened whenever, he was here. And then I did some of it too, and so, yeah. So he gets some credit too.
Stephen, we got the email yesterday about the audit that's going on. And that was for 2020, 21, no, 21, 22, and 23.
Yeah.
And, I talked to my secretary about that, and she has never handled FEMA funds.
Right, there was a previous employee there that
Right,
helped with that,
right.
yeah.
So, not sure, I've got a phone number for the auditor, but do you have any ideas on what I should tell them?
If it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
District 1 is going to receive a write-up for that. Because it didn't exist. A register didn't exist for District 1 either. The ladies in the office at District 1, they weren't even aware they were supposed to keep a register. Of course, this being before my time. I did offer to go back through the POs, even though they didn't annotate a PO that this is for a storm disaster or, so we would just be grasping at straws. So we'll get written up. Now, you and I, we've done nothing wrong. It's probably not even a crime on the previous administration. It's just gonna be a black mark on our audit that we'll have to have a reason at that time too. I still suggest you go and talk to them. I communicated via email.
Yeah,
And so they just
I've been
haven't
back
been-
and forth over there too with them and stuff. And they came over to my office and scanned a bunch of stuff in. Because anything on our FEMA disasters, we have to keep for 10 years all the documentation on it. So they've been coming over scanning in everything from the.
The one question I do have is failure to keep a register on FEMA disasters. Does that put our future monies in jeopardy?
I don't know.
I'll wait my staff's tail a little bit. I took all the paperwork over and she said, I'll give y'all an aid for this. But mine, I didn't have nothing in them 3 years, but she sent me the email, so I took her what I have. All mine was 2019 and back. So, but my question was, how would you ever connect a PO to a work order? Because say we had a flood tonight,
You won't know for a week.
I'll eventually, I'll start POs tomorrow. Well, the governor might take him 3 months to declare a state of emergency, then FEMA's probably 8 months after that.
I agree.
I mean, hell, I done got them fixed.
It's hard.
It's hard to connect a PO to a work order.
Well, I think
Reinvent the
you-
wheel there.
Yeah, I think you'd almost have to somehow denote that this potentially could become
Yeah.
something. And there's not that many events a year, so that would be proper policy going forward. I
Well,
think.
I know like when we had all that water, where the roads were just bottom falling out here and there, I know we bought a bunch of 3-inch rock and went and put in these places that just was 3 foot deep mud. I don't recall that we put anything on the purchase order, but we knew what we were doing it for. We were doing it because of that, but I don't know if it was declared a disaster ever. I think it was eventually, but yeah, there's gonna be some you have to reinvent and some you know. But well, when it starts raining or storm comes, you don't know it's gonna be a declared disaster.
Right, right.
And our threshold, you know, gets moved up every year, you know, before the county can claim, you know, a disaster too, so.
That's why I have them do those daily reports, so we can go back and see what each individual worker did on any particular day. And so we can reinvent, you know, I was running a track hoe on April 5th,
Yeah. So,
but that's nothing to do with the POs. Yeah, I mean, if you got a problem, you're gonna take what you have and go fix it. Charlie, you have anything?
No.
Madam Clerk?
No.
All right. I guess I don't have anything. We covered everything. Thank you all for coming. Consideration of possible action on adjournment.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.